Here it is, the concluding review to the concluding chapter of a very epic trilogy. The reviews themselves aren't as epic as the epic trilogy, but I'm just saying, there's epic in there somewhere. The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King. Funny, it's not every day that there's actually a spoiler in the title of a movie. And speaking of spoilers, like my other Lord of the Rings reviews, I'm gonna spoiler the hell out of this video. Ye be warned. So at the beginning of Lord of the Rings, Return of the King, we actually get a surprising backstory about Smeagol, aka Gollum. I already did the voice, dude. It shows Smeagol and Deagle, they're fishing, and then Smeagol wants the ring.
Because it's my birthday. And he wants it.
Alright, I did it because you're all nice about it. And then it shows him like deteriorating and becoming Gollum that we all know. It's a really dark segment. There's a lot of really creepy sound effects, and it shows him just eating fish raw, and it's just all gross. Everyone always overuses that term dark with movies, like, oh, it's so dark. I've probably used it myself, but I'm just saying the Gollum segment in Return of the King, pretty dark. And I'll get to Frodo, Sam, and Gollum in a bit, but first of all, we're gonna talk about Gandalf, Aragorn, Gimli, Legolas, and when they come onto Isengard. Now, this is a really important scene because the extended editions to the Lord of the Rings movies, I like seeing the extra content, but when I'm watching it, I'm like, okay, I get why it was cut from the theatrical release. If you're a fan of the lore, it's cool seeing some of this stuff, it's cool seeing it go into more detail, but if you're a first-time watcher, I get why the call was made where it's like, let's take this off the theatrical release. But Return of the King has two scenes, two power scenes, where I'm like, that should never have been cut from the movie. And one of them is when Gandalf and all of them come onto Isengard. In the theatrical release, they're all like, all right, we got a wizard to deal with. Let's deal with Saruman. Gandalf's like, no, he hasn't any power anymore. Let's just leave. There's no resolution with his character at all. In the extended edition, Gandalf and Saruman, like in the book, they have words. They talk. It's a cool scene. I love when awesome good and awesome bad talk with each other. I don't know why. I just love it. So basically, they have words, and Gandalf establishes his power over Saruman, busts his staff. Then Wormtongue stabs him. Legolas shoots Wormtongue, and then Saruman just falls off of Orthanc and impales himself. They're like, yeah, well, he's dead. In the original theatrical release, you would have no idea about that. You'd be like, what happens to Saruman? Does he just go away? Does he become an old guy? Does he play bingo for the rest of his life? Does he go on America's Got Talent? Is the what you gonna do guy Saruman? Is that what he is to become? You never know. It's probably that guy, though. And due to the curiosity of Pippin, they find out Sauron is making a move against Minas Tirith. Minas Tirith is pretty much the capital of the human world in Gondor. It's where the king would sit had he come back. He has not come back, so now it's in the hands of lesser men, otherwise known as Denethor, who's Boromir's father and pretty much sees his second-born Faramir as, you know, a piece of shit. He's played by John Noble. You might know him as Walter Bishop from Fringe, and he's a douche. I call him Dickathor because that's what he is. Douchebag if ever there was one. War is going to come, just wipe out everyone at Minas Tirith. Gandalf knows this, and he's like, we need to prepare for battle. Dickathor's just like, I will not bow to this ranger from the north. One of my favorite parts is Osgiliath gets overrun by orcs. Osgiliath's this little town that's divided by a river, part of the kingdom of Gondor. So Dickathor's like, hey, Faramir, you're gonna go there and you're gonna take it back. You're probably gonna die, yeah, but you know, you're gonna take it back. You're gonna do it. Because rule of Gondor is mine. And then Pippin's singing this song, and all the troops are running into battle, and all the orcs are drawing their bows. It's all in slow motion. It's a really sad song. You're like, yeah, emotion. Man, see, moments like that are why I love Lord of the Rings. Because by the end, you're like, that was such an emotional ride. It was crazy. Then you have Theoden and Rohan. They're like, all right, let's amass an army to help Minas Tirith out. They're not getting a big army. Then Aragorn's like, oh, it's okay. I'll go on this path and get the most broken army ever. He has to get this ghost army who are a bunch of Oathbreakers. And I get it, but when it's happening, I'm like, I'd just rather see the Minas Tirith stuff right now, or the Frodo and Sam stuff. Then we jump over to Frodo, Sam, and Gollum. Gollum was like, you know what? Screw these hobbits. I'm gonna kill them and take the ring for myself because he's a douche. So he's taking them up this staircase by Minas Morgul, which is where the Nazgul hang out, and into this cave where there's this big spider. You saw in Two Towers how, you know, the weight of the ring was really weighing on Frodo, his soul, and physically it's just getting heavier as they get closer to Mordor. But you really notice in this movie, the weaker Frodo gets, the stronger Sam needs to be. And that's what he does. This is where Sean Astin really shines as Samwise Gamgee. He was the standout performance of the entire movie because it was so unexpected. You know, the end of Two Towers where they're both talking, they're like, oh, will there be a book written about this? And Frodo's like, oh, you forgot one of the chief characters, Samwise the Brave. Frodo wouldn't have gotten too far without Sam. And in movies and real life, friends say that to friends because they want to moralize him, but they really don't mean it. They're usually like, yeah, I'm the main character and you're the friend. But in Lord of the Rings, Frodo was 100% correct. Without Samwise Gamgee, Frodo would fall, fail, and die trying. And as Samwise Gamgee is the voice of reason in Frodo's head, Gollum's pretty much the devil. Samwise Gamgee sees Gollum talking to himself, talking about how he's going to kill the hobbits and take the ring for himself. And Sam just starts smacking him around, and he's like, he said he's gonna murder us. Frodo's like, I'm not sending him away. Because he sees some sort of kindred spirit in Gollum that Sam just doesn't have, and it's frustrating and stupid to watch. Frodo sees Gollum as the one who understands what it's like to be with this ring for a while. How much it weighs on you, the addiction you have to it. Samwise Gamgee will never feel that way. He'll never actually understand that, but he is the voice of complete objective reason. But hobbits, as well as people, they go on their emotional state, and so they make illogical decisions. That was a scene in the movie I hated watching. It's when Gollum manipulates Frodo so much that Frodo tells Sam to go take a hike, and Sam's all crying. And when I saw that, I was like, I don't like that. It's important for the characters to feel that lowest low in a movie like this, so I get it. When you watch it, it sucks. You feel like evil has just won its small little victory. That's right, the good guys won at Helm's Deep, but Gollum won here. You're like, oh man, poor Sam. He's just gonna hang out with no Limbus bread. He's gonna be lonely and crying. And then you're like, how's the fight at Minas Tirith going? Maybe the humans are having a little bit of better luck. They're not. It's abysmal. It's crazy over there. You got Nazgul flying in, screeching, picking up guys on horses and throwing them over walls. Yeah, like the walls of Minas Tirith, the city. You got that one orc general dude who sounds like Dr. Claw.
The city is rank with it.
You're like, holy Two-Face the orc. However, they got the White Wizard, and as Pippin says, that has to account for something. Gandalf's a complete badass. He's swinging that staff around, his sword, he's just slicing dudes down. One of the best scenes is the orcs are battering this door in this big gate, and Gandalf's like, you are men of Gondor. Whatever comes through that door, you're gonna stay your ground, and you're gonna fight. And that door gets bashed in, and 3 completely armored trolls come running through, and even Gandalf's like, oh. You can just tell in his face, he's like, didn't expect that. That's a lot of bad. Theoden stepping up, because in Two Towers, Theoden was kind of like, well, I don't want to do this, and he whined a lot, and I was like, Theoden, why are you bitching? But in this one, man, he's giving speeches. Return of the King's all about the speeches. He's clacking swords, he's like, we're gonna die today, and it's gonna be awesome! They charge into battle. I'm pretty sure I saw an orc who looks like Beastman from He-Man. I did. He's there. The battle is just so heavy. The first disc of the special editions build up, and you get it, you're like, all right, cool. You got a couple things really cool in the beginning. Then you're building up to the big fight, but the second disc of the extended edition is just, it's epic. There's no other way to say it. You look up epic in the dictionary, it's like disc 2 of Lord of the Rings Return of the King extended edition, dude. And I forgot to mention this character in my Two Towers review, so I'm gonna mention her here, Éowyn. I really like Éowyn. Usually these tough chicks who are like, no, I want to fight, they come across as really bitchy chicks who have something to prove. And you're like, ah, you're just annoying me, Michelle Rodriguez. Why are you doing this? But Éowyn's like, no, not only will I fight in this battle, but I'm gonna take on the Witch King of Angmar. All right, fine. You've earned your stripes today, ma'am. But for every white wizard and big army coming down a hill, fighting a huge battle in which you're like, all right, sweet, is it enough? No, it's not. Aragorn comes on these ships, and he's just like, all right, guys, I got my big ghost army. Up, up, down, down, left, right, BA, start, boom, I just broke the game. I cheated, I won. These ghosts just fly through and wipe everything out, and you're like, all right, well, I guess that's over now. And I take comfort in the fact that it's not like the entire movie was broken. It's not like it was like, oh, it all built up to this war. Then a bunch of indestructible ghosts came through and wiped out about 100,000 bad guys, and that was it. That was the end. This was a victory, but it's not the victory. The point is still Frodo getting the ring into the volcano and destroying evil. Meanwhile, in Shelob's lair, Gollum has led Frodo into a trap where a big spider is going to eat him. Yep, Gollum's a treacherous little bastard. However, Samwise Gamgee learns about it, and dude, I'm telling you, Samwise Gamgee having the light of Elendil and Sting in his hand, he's like, put him down, you won't touch him again. You're like, dude, Samwise, dude. And he fights this spider, and you're like, dude, more impressive than an army of ghosts taking out 100,000 orcs, you betcha. This is a personal battle, and it's headed up by Samwise Gamgee. Samwise fights this big, gross, disgusting spider, and he wins. Frodo gets captured by orcs, and he goes up this tower and starts wiping out orcs. You're like, Sam, holy shit, where was this whole time? Meanwhile, over at Minas Tirith, they all have a few decisions to make. It comes to this moment where they're all sitting in Minas Tirith, they've won their victory, and they're like, all right, 10,000 orcs now block Frodo's path to Mount Doom. They're like, what to do? And Aragorn's like, we go up on the Black Gate and we call Sauron and his army out. We keep the eye fixed on us, we draw the entire army to the gate to fight us. That will clear the road for Frodo. And Éomer's like, we cannot achieve victory through strength of arms. Aragorn's like, it's not for ourselves, but we can give Frodo this chance. I love that shit, dude. That's amazing. They all agree to go up on this gate and be like, we're probably gonna get wiped out, but we're going to do it to give Frodo a chance to succeed. If we don't do this, he won't succeed, and then blackness and darkness is just gonna cover the land anyway, so there's no point. We will die so Frodo can succeed. That's awesome. Moments like that are why I look at Return of the King specifically and be like, yeah, you did that, and you're awesome for it. And so that's exactly what they do. And this is moment 2 that was taken out of the theatrical release where I was like, why did you take that out? This guy comes out. He's the mouth of Sauron. He's pretty much Sauron's voice and will. He's this dude who has a really big, gross mouth. Can't see his eyes. He has a really big helmet.
Old gray beard.
He comes out and he has Frodo's mithril vest. And he throws it to Gandalf. And he's like, oh, he died horribly, by the way, your little friend. And then the hobbits just start tearing up. They're like, Frodo! And you can tell this guy's like, all right, what do you mean by that? Gandalf's like, silence! Because really, Sauron doesn't know that Frodo is there with the ring. He probably suspects it, but yeah, they were about to blow the whole thing. The whole point of them drawing Sauron out to the Black Gate, yeah, it was about to be negated. And Aragorn slices his head off and he's like, I don't buy it. But deep down you can tell he does. It was just really disheartening and demoralizing. It made him angry, so he sliced the dude's head off. Who wouldn't have? This whole scene was cut out of the theatrical cut. Why? Don't know. After those negotiations come to a complete and abrupt end, then the gates open up and then we have ourselves a fight. Of course, people are like, I don't want to be here, and Aragorn gives his whole speech. It's pretty much one of the William Wallace, they can take our lives, but they'll never take our freedom kind of speeches. Get you jacked up. You're like, yeah, you know what? I'd probably stick around after a speech like that. But right then, it goes back to Frodo and Sam. Frodo just falls. They're going up Mount Doom. They have made it there. They just need to get into the thing. Frodo's just on the ground, and he's just like, you can tell he doesn't have any more in him. And he looks terrible too. I mean, you look at the guy, you're like, you are in bad shape. You know those pets on those Save a Pet commercials, you know, for a cup of coffee a day and the Sarah McLachlan music's playing? Frodo looks like he should be on one of those commercials as one of the pets. Save a Hobbit, I'm telling you, he was in bad shape. You know when he was in the spider web and he looked like Bathmorda from Willow? Yeah, he looks worse now than that. And Sam can't carry the ring because it's Frodo's burden. He's the ring baron. Sam's like, you know what, then let us be rid of it. I may not be able to carry it for you, but I can carry you. And he picks Frodo up like a sack of potatoes on his shoulders and he just walks up the mountain with him on his back. That's friendship. And that's why Samwise Gamgee's awesome. And back on the battlefield, they're all ready to throw down the entire human army, and Merry and Pippin and Legolas and Gimli, Gandalf, Aragorn. Everyone's there at the Black Gates. You can see Barad-dûr and the big flaming eye of Sauron right there looking at him. And you can hear the whole those little whispers of Sauron talking to Aragorn, and Aragorn drops a sword and he starts walking forward. At this point, he's heard from the mouth of Sauron that Frodo is dead. So their initial reasoning for being there and drawing the gaze away from Frodo is gone now. And I'm pretty sure Sauron's talking to him right now in his head, telling him, hey, you know what? Join my side, the winning side, the side that will come out of this ahead. We can rule it all together. And with the recent news of Frodo's death and by implication the enemy having the ring, Aragorn really has, it's just the lowest low. He has no reason not to do it except for his own morality. And he turns around and he looks at his crew behind him. He looks at Gandalf. His eyes are glazed up. It looks like he's tearing up. And he's like, for Frodo. And he just charges into battle. And the two hobbits immediately chase right after him. And then everybody else just charges into battle. You see, with the belief of Frodo being dead, it's not about buying Frodo time anymore. It's about wiping as many of these bastards out as you possibly can before you die. That's big time, man, and it was badass to see. Can't help but just beam with pride at these characters that don't actually exist. You're like, yeah, all the good things about human beings, the good stuff. Then Frodo gets into Mount Doom. He is there. He is on the precipice over the lava. He has the ring. All he has to do is drop it. And Sam's like, Frodo, what are you waiting for? Just drop it in. Let it go. Frodo's holding it out and it has that really creepy noise that the evil ring ambiance, you know, that plays when the ring's doing its thing. And Frodo recoils. He turns around. He has the ring. I wasn't ready for this. I really wasn't. He was just like, the ring is mine. He just rips it off the chain and Sam's like, no. And you're like, no. He puts it on. He turns invisible. Sam's like, no. And you're like, no. Best part is Sauron's eye. Because when you put on the ring, you turn invisible. Sauron can see where you are, so can the Nazgul. You see the eye just go, and look at Mount Doom. If you've ever seen an eye wreathed in flames shit itself, that was the moment it happened. You can see he's like, oh wait, the thing is 7 feet from me, otherwise known as the one place that can be destroyed. Nazgul, get the fuck over there! I don't even think that was paraphrased. I think the eyeball said exactly that to the Nazgul. And the Nazgul do that turn, that Star Fox 64 turn where it's just 180 in midair. But luckily, and this is the only time the words luckily have ever been used in terms of Gollum showed up, but luckily Gollum showed up and he just jumps right on invisible Frodo and just goes, and Frodo turns visible because he bit his finger off. He has the ring and Gollum looks so happy. He doesn't give a shit the world's going to burn. He has his precious. He's jumping up and down like Brussels, Brussels, Brussels. But yeah, Frodo ain't having it, and they scuffle and they fall over the edge, and you see Gollum falling into the lava with his ring, and he's just clutching it in such warm embrace as he falls, and the camera's following him down. You see him just splat into the lava, and he's burning, he's dying. His one thought is to save the ring. And finally, the ring burns and gets destroyed. Evil is vanquished and wiped out, and Barad-dûr starts crumbling, the eyeballs just flipping out, just burning everywhere. And they're all like, holy shit, Frodo, he's alive and he did it. And you're like, he did it. And we're all like, he did it. And evil's vanquished, it's done. Oh, Frodo? No, he's fine. He grabbed onto the cliff and Sam pulled him up, and no, he didn't burn and die. Now at this point, you still have like a half an hour of film left because the movie still needs to wrap up. And you've heard me say this phrase before when I talk about movies that have long endings. I call it the Return of the King ending, because it does have a long ending. But if you just stop and sit back and soak it in like I did last time I watched it, I actually loved it. Dude, I teared up at the end. It was out of control. Because it touches on themes, you know? It's like the hobbits go back and they're all living their lives. Frodo's like, how can you go back to a normal life? Some things are just too big. Time doesn't actually heal them. You're a changed person after carrying the ring of power for a year. I do like the scene where Samwise Gamgee sees that chick he had a crush on. He was like, you know what, I'm gonna go talk to her, and end up getting married because he's like, I took on a big spider and I carried the ring bearer to Mount Doom and we saved the world. If he doesn't get every chick in the Shire every day, Middle-earth is just not a just place. And the end really feels like the closing of a book because the elves are leaving Middle-earth. They're going to their holy land, pretty much. If there's a heaven in Middle-earth, it's this place that the elves go. And they give Bilbo that honor, which is funny because I want to see what Bilbo does in The Hobbit to really illustrate why the elves gave him that honor. I know it's in the books and whatnot, but I want to see it. I'm a visual person. And Frodo goes, because he's like, there's nothing for me in this world anymore. I have done it all. I've burned my candle at both ends. I have nothing left to give. And it's just sad as hell. And they're all crying. All the hobbits are crying. And you're either crying or you want to cry, but you start feeling the knot in your throat. And it's just, dude, it's brutal. It's good though. You need a wrap up like that. At the end of a trilogy like this, if you didn't at least kind of feel like you wanted to cry, yeah, something misfired somewhere. I should just say The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King is The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King. Because Awesome Spectacular probably doesn't cover the Lord of the Rings movies, but as this is my rating system and this is as high as it goes, The Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King is Awesome-tacular. Which Lord of the Rings do I prefer? Fellowship and Return of the King, Two Towers, it's all one movie. And it is my favorite movie of all time for those of you who have asked what's my favorite movie of all time. So I'm gonna ask you, what is your favorite movie of all time? Whatever it is, there's no real wrong answer to this. Comment below, let me know. And as always, if you like what you've seen here and you wanna see more, click right here to see more.